It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and we're finally getting into the releases of 1991 as we're looking at January 11th. So we can finally start getting into the newer releases of the year. And then you realize that, oh wait, it's January, and January doesn't usually have a lot of good movies there. And unfortunately, the first couple of weeks of 91 definitely are going to show that, because I've seen what January 91's movies were, and not a lot of memorable movies. At least memorable for being good. Some of them are memorable for just being so distasteful. Some of them are just not good whatsoever. Some are just bad. Some of them are those so bad it's good type of movies. You could probably say that for the first movie that we have here. Jean-Claude Van Damme back on the big screen again, this time with Lionheart. Unless you saw this in another country, then it was called Absent Without Leave, AWOL, along with some other titles. I'm looking right here, Wrong Bet, Leon. They had all these different titles for this movie. But here in America, we got it as Lionheart, and yeah, it's a so bad it's good type of movie. It's not really anything too spectacular or something that you haven't seen Jean-Claude Van Damme do in his other movies like Bloodsport and Double Impact or Kickboxer. But it is what it is. It's over the top, cheesy 90s action fun, but it's a good type of 90s cheesy action fun. It's a type of movie you can watch on Spike TV in the mid 2000s. What if it's on TV? There's nothing else on a Saturday afternoon, and you watch it, and you come back out of it going, "Well, that was a ton of fun. That was a ton of fun. It was silly fun." A lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme's movies were like that. Not a whole lot of them were all that great, but they were good fun, good over the top cheesy fun, and you kind of knew that he was in on kind of was in on the joke, but he never really took it too seriously as an actor. He was just having a good time with it. He's the anti Steven Seagal. Like every time you see Steven Seagal do a action movie, whether it's a theatrical release or a direct to video release, it always felt like he was trying to be so serious and so not play this over the top. He had to be a straight man in this movie, and it's just like, yeah, sometimes that worked, but other times not so much. And that's pretty much, it's nothing like what Jean-Claude Van Damme does. I think there is a sense that he's in on the joke, but he knows that he can still be a decent action star if he really wants to. And he does show it a couple times in his earlier movies, and especially in the movies he would make with Universal. This is one of the first ones where he would make a streak of movies with Universal, and very rarely did he go all too serious for a role, which didn't pan out very well. But he did do it at some points, but we'll get to those when we get further down the line. But I don't know, Lionheart was kind of fun. It's a movie that, it is what it is. If you go in there with the least bit of expectations of something serious and uplifting or something like that, or just if you want to just go in there for some cheesy 90s over the top action fun, you'll definitely get it here. So that's pretty much what I have to say about Lionheart. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Sally Field and Alfred Molina in Not Without My Daughter. And oh boy, there's so much to talk about with this one. So, where do we even begin with this movie? Well, first of all, Alfred Molina is not an Iranian. He was born in London, England. So, first mistake number one. I don't care how much you can try to put as much makeup on him as you can. There's no way you're going to make Alfred Molina look like he's playing an Iranian physician as he does in this movie. Second of all, man, this movie has so much TV movie of the week quality to it. I have no idea who thought it would be a good idea to put this on a big screen and think it's going to be any kind of a success. Like, you know that someone at MGM saw this and said, we got to put this in theaters. This is going to be our big prestige Oscar film of the year, and it gets shipped off to the jumping out of January, and you could probably see why. Third, unfortunately during this time period, we also had the beginning of the Persian Gulf War, which I know technically that this doesn't really connect to that, but yeah, chances are people aren't going to want to go see a movie like this when we're literally in an actual war at the time, so yeah, do I even need to explain why this movie is so terrible? I mean, my God, it's just, maybe there was a good idea here, maybe, but everything about this trailer, this movie, everything, all the way down to the music, and you got Jerry Goldsmith, who's one of the great composers of all time, half-assing it. I mean, everybody's just half-assing it, trying to pass this off as an Oscar prestige movie when it really isn't. Everybody's acting like I said, it feels like a TV movie of the week. This feels like something you would see on CBS, NBC, or ABC, or even Fox as the movie of the week. And it's just like, well, no one's meant to take it too seriously. I mean, it would be a TV movie, but no, this is on the big screen. This is supposed to be a movie that we're supposed to notice, we're supposed to take part in, and it's just, there's just nothing there, and it's just so manipulative. It's so, there are parts that are even kind of offensive to a lot of religions in this movie, and just the treatment of women in general. This guy took his wife and his daughter to Iran basically to just to essentially be kidnapped, pretty much. And I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, the story seems fascinating, and it could work with the right people involved, but I don't know what they were thinking when they made this movie like it is. This movie just feels like something that, that somebody just wrote a half-assed script, just put it together, didn't think it was going to get anywhere, and then someone says, okay, this is good enough for theatrical release, and it's just like, here it is right here, and it's just like, it plays it way too, I don't know what, it's like, it plays it too safe, but at the same time, they don't know how safe they want it to be, because it's just like, well, we can't offend too many people with this. It's like, well, you're not doing a very good job at it, because you've completely missed the purpose of what you were trying to accomplish here altogether. I mean, yeah, this movie just looks terrible. It looks terrible on so many levels, and the only noteworthiness I could get from this is that at least you got a Terrence and Phillip episode in the second season of South Park called Not Without My Anus, but yeah, other than that, though, this is one of those movies that just looks like it was so easy to ridicule and criticize and just laugh at for trying to be taken so seriously, and just end up so miserably miscalculated on so many levels. It's just Not Without My Daughter. It's a movie that exists in film infamy. So, with that said, let's get on to the last movie, and that is Warlock. Well, this looked like a whole bunch of different things. This is one of those movies where we've talked about a couple of these movies where they try to combine so many different popular things at the time. Like this looks like a mix between Highlander, The Terminator, and I completely forgot what the last movie I was going to think of was. Maybe The Exorcist. Maybe I'm not sure, but you get the idea. It feels like they've combined all these movies together into this one film, and maybe it was Evil Dead I'm thinking of, because there was definitely some Evil Dead like type of effects in this movie, and you can definitely see it in the trailer for this. But as far as the movie itself goes, I mean, it looks like one of those movies where it looks pretty cheesy, it looks pretty corny, but at the same time, it's one of those movies that could have this cult following to it, maybe. And I could definitely see that. I mean, it doesn't look terrible. I mean, at least it looks a little bit promising from that trailer right there. Maybe it's just because I like Percy Rodriguez narrating it, because anytime that man narrates a trailer, you get hooked in. Like, you're automatically hooked into what they're trying to sell you, and it's just like, I mean, it could go. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not as good as I think it is. Maybe there's a lot of people that don't. Maybe it doesn't have that big cult following that I'm thinking of, but I mean, it looks promising. It looks pretty promising. This is written by David Twohy, who also would write Pitch Black and the Chronicles of Riddick movies, and Steve Miner, who would direct the Friday the 13th sequels, parts 2 and 3. He also did things like House, which is a big horror cult classic, Soul Man, and they actually had 2 movies released in '91, because this actually was filmed in '89 and went to international release throughout much of 1990 before it actually got a release in '91. And I think this was one of his last horror movies for a while, because in the same year he had another movie, Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken, and that started a streak of like these different comedies and dramas, and very rarely he would return back to horror. He did it like 3 times. Actually, I take that back. He did it 3 out of the last 5 times he directed a movie. He did Halloween H2O, Lake Placid, and then Day of the Dead, the 2008 version. And but yeah, so like I said, I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know too much about the cult status of this movie. I assume it has one, but I don't know, it looks pretty promising enough, so one day I might check it out. But, yeah, that's my thoughts on Warlock, just from that trailer alone. And with that said, we're going to wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. The next time we meet up, there's going to be... we're going to have at least 3 movies to look at that I can see from this list here. It's another one of those lists where they don't completely list the new releases. You have to, like, really look at the page here and see what's there. We're going to look at Flight of the Intruder. We're going to look at the Disney movie White Fang. And we're also going to look at Eve of Destruction. And then for the following week, because there's no releases coming out that week, we'll look at the other movies that came out this particular weekend, because there's at least 3 more movies on this list that are also out this weekend, including Cadence, Ride and Died, and Men of Respect. So we'll definitely look at those 6 movies over the course of the next 2 episodes when we meet back here on Sunday. Of course, on Saturday, we have a new Movie Stop episode. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. I'm going to try to see Minions and Elvis tomorrow. If not, then I have something else that I might plan on doing. So you're going to get something tomorrow from me, regardless. So if you want to see that episode, I'll see for that one tomorrow. But if you're going to wait until Sunday for the new Time About the Movies, I will see you then. But before I leave you for good, as always, if you like what you see here and you want to see more episodes like this, check out the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys on Sunday for the next Time About the Movies. So thank you for watching, and until the next time I see you, take care.